Hey everybody, Shoebox Legends. Thanks for joining me for another video today. Gonna have sort of a couple of themes in today's episode. They are going to intertwine sort of at the end. There is a rationale behind these, even though they seem sort of random and unrelated. The first theme is going to be throw-ins, when a seller on eBay kind of just gives you a little something extra that you weren't expecting when your card arrives, which is always nice. And the second portion of the video, I want to look at the very first grading submission results in the history of my channel. Got in on a submission with a good buddy of mine in the hobby to a lesser known grading service and got my cards back in the mail recently, so I wanted to review those as well. Just 3 of them, but do want to talk about the slabs and the cards that I had graded. So first and foremost, let's start with the theme of throw-ins or bonus cards. For whatever reason, in the last week or so, I see this from time to time, but it's been particularly popular in the last week or two with the sellers that I seem to have gotten cards from on eBay. I don't know if it's the holiday spirit of giving or what, but I'm getting some extra bonus cards with my eBay orders. So the first couple that I have to show, these came in with a very significant, not expensive, but I think significant Connor McDavid card. I'm not going to show that one off right now. I have a separate video planned for that card, but the cards that came along with it were interesting. So first and foremost, seller tossed in this 1990 Upper Deck Slammin' Sammy Sosa card that, back in 1990 was probably commonly found in top loaders, in hobby shops and personal collections throughout the United States. These days, kind of comical to see a 90 Upper Deck Sosa getting the top loader treatment, but look at that smile. That's a top loader worthy smile, I would say, in any event. And obviously, Sosa, he's a little bit tainted now after the home run race with McGuire and all the steroids scandals and all that, but he was a fun player. I always preferred his 1990 Leaf card over his 90 Upper Deck rookie, but still cool one nonetheless, and I thought it was nice of the seller to throw that one in. Definitely reminds me of collecting as a kid. The same seller included another card. This is a football card, and amazingly, this is actually going to make the cut for my little small football Z folio project. So he sent along this Panini Select Joe Montana. This top loader is scuffed to, holy hell. Although I did learn recently from my buddy Peeps that I guess these can be salvaged, your scratched top loaders. If you take a little turpentine to them, I guess you can kind of clean them up. So we'll see. Maybe I'll give that a shot with the Sosa and Joe Montana top loaders here. But here's a better look at the card, free of its plastic prison. Just gorgeous. I love Select across all sports, and I do have like a little Joe Montana page going in the Football Z folio with a couple of other Montanas that I picked up at antique stores around here and on ComC. So that's actually a perfect fit. So as throw-ins go, that seller was pretty kind to include those. The McDavid card that I bought from the seller was only like $10 or even less, but I appreciate the gesture. And then on the other side of the spectrum, the throw-ins that nobody wants, which I do run into pretty frequently, recently picked up another copy of this 2014 Topps Chrome David Ortiz purple refractor. But really the reason why I got this, it was $1 on Sport Lots. I just think that's criminally unfair to David Ortiz to charge $1 for this card, and so scooped it up. This is going to go into the purple Z folio when I'm done with the episode. But what was interesting about it, still taped up here in the original top loader that it arrived in from Sport Lots. But I'm guessing in an attempt to just kind of make the card a little thicker in the top loader, the seller included this red hot, scorching 1990 Upper Deck Eric Hetzel. I believe this was like a top 20 card in last month's Beckett baseball as far as hot cards in the hobby. So really happy to have this one complete with mystery stain on the upper right border there. So not exactly a home run. I guess I appreciate the gesture. I was really just in it for the Ortiz. The shipping charge was very reasonable. And as I said, I think that extra card was just included to pad the Ortiz and make it a little thicker so that it didn't, slide around or slide out of the top loader. So I'm poking fun in jest, but that Eric Hetzel's going straight in the garbage can when this video is finished. And then the third and final kind of set of cards that I have here under the theme of throw-ins or bonus cards, picked up a really nice, I think, I was ecstatic about this. I actually texted a couple of buddies to talk about this one when I won, but picked up a really nice Alex Ovechkin rookie card for a price point that's honestly unbelievable, but I have witnesses. Don't want to talk about that one yet. As you can see by the coming soon banner, I've probably foolishly committed to showing a new Ovechkin card every time he scores a goal this year, and he's been lighting the lamp like crazy, so I'm going to save that rookie card for a future episode when he scores again. But in the meantime, the seller included a couple of cards to pad out the bubble mailer, I guess, that these came in. First of all, I got a handwritten note that my soul matters, which that's the first time I've been told that in the 15 years or so that I've been back at it collecting sports cards. So I guess I appreciate that. On top of that, we have a 92-93 Ultra Kelly Kissio here. He looks like the shortest man on ice in this photo. I don't know what happened here. The folks at Fleer, just if it's the angle or what, but Kelly is looking incredibly short here. Pretty cool early San Jose Sharks card anyway, but one that I will likely stick off into my, or move off into my giveaway pile or trade box. Although I do applaud the effort, I guess, by the seller. Here's a Jamie Rivers with the Blues. I think that's a late 90s Upper Deck base card. This one's kind of cool. We got Kirk McLean and Bernie Perrant. So these Idols cards from the 90s Pinnacle sets, they basically showed a current player, and then exactly as the name would imply, in the foreground, and then as the name would imply, a sepia or sepia-toned photo of their idol in the game of hockey in the background. So I will likely put this one in my pile for Brian over at Walkenbach due to that Bernie Perrant background there. And then the seller, this one I thought was actually pretty cool, included a bonus Ovechkin card to go with the rookie card. And given the steal of a price that I got this one at, this seller honestly probably had every right to be flat out angry about the transaction. And clearly they weren't, and went in the opposite direction and hooked me up with some free cardboard. So this one I don't believe I had, and is going to get moved right into the quickly becoming a dedicated to Alex Ovechkin Z folio after this video. So there are the extra cards for better or worse that have shown up with some of my recent purchases. And now I would like to get to the results of the first grading submission that I've shown here on the channel. So I've collected graded cards for, well over a dozen years now, even a little bit longer maybe. But I've never submitted my own raw cards for grading until this past year. I participated in 2 submissions. One was with PSA, and I don't have those cards back yet. But the other was maybe a couple or a few months back. My good friend Bruyne at Walkenbach, he reached out to me, and he was putting together a sub for a company called Gem Mint Grading. Now, I'm not really familiar with this company. They're definitely a lesser known grader. I believe there was, if I recall, Brian explaining this on some of his videos. This is not the older Gem Mint grading company of the same name that folks may be familiar with from years back. This is a relatively newer company, but I was intrigued. I really like checking out, anybody's slabs. I'm a fan of graded cards. The price point was right. I believe, I want to say these were around like $12 a card to value sub through Brian, who was kind enough to include these in his submission. So kind of closer in price to what PSA used to be before price increases and, the shutdown and all that fun stuff. So picked out 3 cards to send in. Brian sent them in along with his, got them back, and then I just got them from him in my recent shipment that included that beautiful care package that I showed off a few videos back. So I got 2 soccer cards and then a baseball card that's pretty neat. So on the soccer front, submitted this Kevin De Bruyne Stadium Club rookie card from Stadium Club Premier League Soccer. I'm a big believer in this card. He's a very talented, in my opinion, top 20 worldwide soccer player. Certainly one of the premier midfield men in the game, and obviously playing for Manchester City. is very visible and plays on a big stage. A fan of this one because Stadium Club Premier League was a one and done release, and the Premier League is my favorite soccer league to watch. I tend to tune into those games every weekend when they're on Saturdays and Sundays. Big Liverpool fan, and I just enjoy the Premier League. So I've been on the Kevin De Bruyne train since he first kind of emerged on the scene, and it just so happens that his rookie card coincided, with the 1 year that Stadium Club or Topps did a Stadium Club Premier League release. So I love this one. I have a handful of copies of it, and for that reason, it seemed like a good one to send off with Bryan, just to kind of experiment with the grading and slabbing process here. And I have to say, I really like the slab. It's very solid in feel. It actually feels extremely comparable plastic-wise to a PSA slab. Almost, I don't know if I have, I'll check here and see if I have a PSA slab within range. I don't think I have one handy, but, I think dimension-wise, weight-wise, width of the flip up top, the frosted glass, the slab itself is very, very comparable, even weight-wise, to PSA. They obviously thought highly of my rookie card here. I got a 9.5 Mint Plus as my overall grade, and then you can see this company does do the subgrading included at that $12 price point. So I got a 9.5 on corners and centering, and a 10 on edges and surface. I'm actually really surprised this card did that well. So I didn't, full confession, I didn't really spend any time analyzing the cards that I was going to send off to Bryan to submit. I really just, I was sort of in a rush. I think I had maybe held them up a little bit, or was feeling like I needed to get them out the door, was really busy with work, and so kind of just grabbed like 2 or 3 cards that made sense for other reasons. Really didn't look over their condition at all. That's just a card that I bought on eBay raw for like $5 or less a couple of years ago, so happy to see it get a 9.5. My next one was graded a little bit lower, and I'm not surprised at all. So this is a Panini Instant World Cup card from 2018 of Kylian Mbappe, and this commemorates his goal in the World Cup final, which was a final that his country, France, won, and he obtained the World Cup as an 18-year-old. He was the best young player in the tournament, was actually awarded best young player in the tournament. And these are akin to like Topps Now cards, where they were printed on demand based on the number of people that ordered them. And back in 2018, almost nobody cared about soccer cards. I was collecting them and had been for a few years, but they were just dirt cheap and really nobody paid attention. I think the 2018 World Cup and Mbappe's emergence on the scene, combined with the overall hobby boom in the last couple of years, has changed that. But for that reason, I'm a big believer in this card. So I actually have quite a few copies of this because I was scooping them up when I was finding them at, $20 and under price points. So there are only 540 copies of this card, as you can see on the back, in existence. And, he has the potential to be a very special player. And for that reason, and the significance of the World Cup and the significance of this goal in the final, I'm a very big believer in this card. They're already worth a lot more than the $20 I was scooping them up for a couple of years ago. But because I have so many, I thought it was a good one to send in. And what I'll say, these are notoriously condition-sensitive cards. I'm convinced that the bulk of these shipped right from Panini with issues right out of the factory. At one point in my collecting career, believe it or not, I obtained a 20-pack of this card that came direct from Panini, from the factory. I think it may have even been a 25-pack. And out of those 25 cards, which this was one of those from that lot, almost none of them didn't have some kind of a worn corner or a little bit of edge wear. The paper that these were printed on is just very, very touchy, and they just have a ton of condition issues. So you almost have to put condition out the window when you believe in a card this much, like I do, and there are only 500 copies of it floating out there, and you know that so many of them are going to be subpar condition. You just kind of have to deal with that. But nonetheless, this one got a 9. We can see up top here. What really killed it was the corners, which got an 8.5, not surprising at all. If we look on the back, maybe it's a little more visible. This one's actually not terrible, but I assure you they're not perfect corners. You can see a little bit of white there on the upper left, but so the corners knocked it down a little, but the edges and centering were a 9.5 and the surface was a 10. So overall, it got a 9. I love it. It's not like I'm intending to sell this card anyway. I plan on keeping this in the collection. Just wanted to test out the slab. And this is a good opportunity to talk about something that I didn't mention on the De Bruyne, but I like that they color code the slabs. I've seen some other companies that do that. I know HGA does. On the one hand, I like the consistency of the red PSA slab over the years, but for something a little bit different, I enjoy the color coding, and I like that this has the colors of the France nation and France flag right up on the flip there. So kind of a cool, this is, I mean, probably one of a kind with, only 500 of these out there, and Gem Mint Grading being a relatively obscure, upstart, I would assume, grading company over the last couple of years. I'm, highly doubtful that too many of the other owners of that card have bothered to send one in to GMG to get slabbed. So that might be a one of a kind. And then the final card from my submission is going to tie this whole episode together. This was the one that I was most excited to submit through Brian, and it's a meaningful card to me because it features my favorite player, the 2014 Topps Xander Bogaerts rookie card. And as you can see, I scored a Gem Mint 10 on this card with a perfect 10 score in every single subcategory. Now, obviously, I'm poking fun. I know that they're probably a little less stringent in their grading than, a PSA would be, or, BGS, SGC, even CSG. I get it, but still thought it was pretty cool to get a Gem Mint Bogaerts. This is just going to be a really unique and memorable piece to my Xander collection. I had multiple copies of this Topps rookie. It's a card I've always enjoyed, and getting this in this slab with, again, team color matching flip, and also having the story and the memory that it came, to me through my hobby buddy, Brian, who I become close with, and did a submission through him, just makes it all the more special. And another thing that Gem Mint Grading will do that I chose to do only on the Bogaerts, not on these other two cards, because who knows, I may end up selling these soccer cards someday. The Bogaerts I knew was going to stay with me kind of as a memory of this submission with Brian, and a significant and unique piece to my Bogaerts collection. So I asked Brian if he would be so kind as to ask them to put on the back Shoebox Legends. So they will actually brand your slab with your YouTube channel if you choose to, which I think is a pretty smart marketing move by the folks at GMG. Obviously, that's not something you'd want to do if you're a flipper or looking to, enhance the retail value of your cards by getting them slabbed up. In that case, you'd probably avoid it. But for something like this, where you're just looking to encapsulate a card, protect it, and keep it in your personal collection, I think it's kind of a unique and fun thing to do. And I certainly, it made my day when Brian did his reveal video, and I learned that this Bogaerts, that's got the Shoebox Legends inscription on the back. Not only that, also scored a Gem Mint 10. That's just a really cool collectible, different flavor, of a card that I have many flavors of, and just a really special version of that rookie card. So that is my 3-card submission through Gem Mint Grading. A huge shout out to Brian over at Walk and Balk. Really appreciate you letting me hop on board with your sub. Would certainly look to do that again in the future if you go down that road, and appreciate the opportunity to check out these slabs and encapsulate some of the cardboard in my collection. So that was a ton of fun. Definitely worth the money for the Bogaerts alone. Very happy with how that turned out. And how we're going to tie all that together is this Bogaerts that I got a Gem Mint 10 on was a free throw-in. So believe it or not, when I ordered this 2017 Topps Chrome Sapphire Bogaerts, which I've shown previously a few months back, this Bogaerts rookie came with it in the package. And when I was grabbing together cards to send to Brian, I had this dupe kind of sitting around on a stack and thought to myself, it kind of looks halfway decent. I don't see any real issues with it. And it's probably a relatively easy year to grade with the white borders and cardstock, and tossed it in the package. So just like the cards that we saw to begin the video, the Gem Mint 10 GMG Shoebox Legends Bogarts was also a throw-in from an eBay seller that, thanks to Brian's efforts, has turned into a pretty unique and cool collectible for my collection. So there you have it. Didn't mean to go on for 20 minutes, but there was a point and a purpose to all that, and I hope it tied together okay at the end here. Certainly appreciate you sticking with me. Again, huge shout out to Brian over at Walk and Balk. To everybody else, appreciate you stopping by and spending a few minutes of your time listening to me talk about sports cards. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments about GMG and how the slabs look. And in the meantime, I'll certainly be back in the near future with some more sports card content. Take care, everyone.